What's up, guys? Wanted to jump on here. Oh, my tripod's falling. 1 second. Fuck. Sorry, some technical difficulties. Stay. I just got this new tripod, and it's like falling down any second, but let me just move it real quick. Okay. The floor's uneven. Okay, anyway, guys, wanted to jump on here real quick. Anyway, by the way, shout out to our client success coach, Dan, who got me this shirt. His brand is called The Strength District, so go check it out. But I just wanted to jump on here real quick and talk to you guys a bit about cold messaging, because everyone's doing it, right? And a lot of the coaches that we speak to, they'll say maybe they've done a program in the past and they'll say something along the lines of, oh yeah, like, I was told to cold message a bunch of people and I didn't get results. So I'm gonna get into why, or like, I was told to cold message a bunch of people and like I hated it, and like the only call I booked was like one qualified prospect who had no money in the bank. So I'm gonna tell you guys like basically the truth behind cold messaging and what we like to teach our clients instead. And don't get me wrong, there's definitely a time and place for outbound cold messaging. It's been one of the, longest standing, I guess you can say, message strategies out there in terms of how to get clients. I think one of the first people who taught it was, or at least from what I know, like it's been around the game for quite a long time, right? So everyone's teaching it, everyone's doing it, and it works. Like, no doubt it works. If you cold message 100 people, then just by pure volume and pure, luck, you're gonna be able to land one high ticket client. So, it works, right? However, it's, nowadays it's not the most efficient way to get clients, especially if you're a fitness coach. And here's why. Everyone else is using cold messaging as a way to get clients. The reason being, every other business coach is teaching cold messaging. So what that means is that throughout the years, so for example, like from what we've seen in 2018, like beginning of 2018, it worked. However, because more and more of your competitors are doing it, what it means is that your buyers are becoming more and more sophisticated in the sense that they know they're being pitched the second you hit them up. Because the same coach is going in the same Facebook groups to cold message the same leads. So what it means is that A, your audience's guard is already up, like the buyer's defenses are already up, and B, it's not good return on your time investment, which is why a lot of people get burnt out when they end up like focusing primarily on outbound messaging to generate calls. Just because like the ROI between the time investment and the return is so low that, it's just it's just inefficient, right? Especially if you're already doing PT, or you're maybe even already having like a part-time job or a full-time job, I should say, or maybe you're even like full-time online, and by that point you probably are still doing one-on-one with your clients, so you also have to look after fulfillment and admin. So the third thing that I wanted to actually go into a bit more deep is the fact that after you like use a lot of the basic organic tactics, you run into something that I call like audience fatigue, like organic audience fatigue. And what that means is that your engagement tends to go down. People are becoming less responsive to your posts, which are like, book a call with me for like a free session. And the only people who continue to engage are probably people that you've spoken to in the past who are never gonna buy. So if you're running into these problems where your engagement is starting to go down, you feel like you've burned out your organic audience, and the only people who continue to engage with your stuff are people who are not going to buy because they're just not a good fit for whatever reason, then well, you're running into audience fatigue. So the best way for me to explain this is in traditional forms of organic marketing, the extent to which you coach on organic is, post content consistently and then just do outreach with people. Which, like, great, but this method only really captures less than 10% of your audience, or even like less than 5% of your audience. So think of it like your muscles, right? You've got fast twitch, without getting super scientific, but you probably know this if you're in the fitness space, is you've got fast twitch muscles and you've got slow twitch muscles. And different muscle fibers respond to different forms of training. And in organic marketing, with cold messaging and posting content consistently, you're only getting a really small segment of your market to actually respond to it and convert into buyers, which is like under 10%. So what about the 90%? All right, so here's what we prefer to teach our clients instead. Like, no shame in the game, no shame in cold messaging. We teach that too. Like, we teach how to do it right. We used to rely a lot on that and like outbound lead generation in like 2018. But now it's not so much the focus because the market's developing, all right? And the key to maintaining that authority and maintaining conversions and sales as the market gets more competitive is being on top of the game when it comes to continuing to reinvent updated strategies that your market hasn't caught up to. So basically, you always have to be above the market sophistication, or the buyer sophistication. Anyway, we were just talking about like cold messaging only captures less than 10% of your audience, because less than 10% of your audience only actually respond well to cold messaging. Kind of like, different muscle fibers respond better to different sorts of training. So here's what we do to capture the other 90%. All right, the other 90% we capture primarily 3 different ways. The first is really honing in on your copy or content. So really dialing in direct response and actually knowing how to write copy in depth so that it takes people, or so that it pushes people to actually take action. And that way you're gonna get more inbound leads purely by putting out the right pieces of content. The second is actually having a clear system in place to follow up, as well as to capture the 5-10% low hanging fruit. This is different when I say like the 5 to 10% of low hanging fruit of people who are watching you organically. This is different than the 5 to 10% of people who respond to cold messaging. Just to be clear on that. And the third is something that we call an evergreen organic launch. So here's what it is. In traditional, like a lot of other forms of maybe business programs you might have been through, basically you have an evergreen offer that you sell to everyone throughout the year, and you're primarily selling that through outbound messaging, converting people on a call, and then selling them. All right, so of course, and I'm just gonna tell you guys like what we do for our clients. We teach that too, where you have an evergreen offer that you sell to your market over the year that's, evergreen, that you generate calls by getting inbound leads, purely through number 1 and 2 that we talked about. But then on top of that, what you have is what we just went through. So what we call like an evergreen launch. So what this is you're basically taking the same offer that you have and you're positioning it as something that's unique to that specific time, and then you launch it organically. So then not only do you have your evergreen offer that you're selling the entire year, you also have this launch that you're stacking on top of it, which isn't even different products. It's just the same offer, same product positioned in a slightly different way. But then you have the launch on top of an evergreen. And what this does is it allows you to generate a large influx of cash. And because you have your copy and content dialed in, you're able to get these leads through inbound. All right, so basically what happens is when you launch and you pre-launch, you generate a large influx of inbound leads, which you then convert into sales. So you have this large influx of cash every however many weeks or months on top of your baseline evergreen sales that you make. And then what happens at the end of the launch after they've been through that program is you would then basically graduate your clients onto a 6-month or a year-long offer that you have. So then what that does is over time, you've really got 3 things going on, all of which are high ticket. You've got your evergreen one-on-one that you're selling throughout the year, which is that kind of like flat baseline. And then you're stacking on top of that your launch, which kind of is like that in terms of cash flow, because you have cycles where you have a lot of cash and then other cycles where you're just relying on evergreen. And then by the end of each cycle, you're also upgrading your pre-existing clients onto a year-long thing. So that's 3 things you've got going on. And then once you stack on top of that, knowing how to actually write copy the right way, and knowing how to actually, or having what I should say, like a clearer strategy to be able to put out content, that's what's going to allow you to get more inbound leads and not have to rely on cold messaging. So hope this was insightful for you guys. Hope for anyone who's doing a bunch of cold messaging, you got something from this. But if you have any questions, then let me know in the comments and I will see you guys on the next live.